join us today. We are very proud of this artwork, which is part of the Rockdale Youth Mural Exhibit Program. The program received a grant from the Georgia Council of the Arts to create 2 public canvases. This design here at JP Carr is something unique that represents a sense of community. We are very grateful to Rockdale County Public Schools for pitching in with ideas and giving Mr. Reed, the artist who I'll bring up in a second, a hand with painting. Students from Heritage High, General Ray Davis Middle School, and Boxdale Elementary volunteered their Saturdays to make something that will have a lasting impact. As I mentioned, there are two murals. Creating a design for the Millstead Park neighborhood is our next project, and we're looking forward to creating something special at the splash pad as well. Mr. Emmanuel Reed, would you come forward? Mr. Emmanuel Reed is an artist, is the artist that's responsible for this beautiful mural, which we'll unveil shortly. He used a lot of Saturdays to come up, worked around his work schedule, and the rain, as you guys saw. Every day he wanted to come out, it was raining, and he'd text me, it's like, oh, it's raining. So we had to reschedule to make sure that we got everything complete. So you want to say a couple things?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Manny Reed. I am one of many artists that completed the mural. Just being able to see our young high school students come out, I think that's what meant the most for me. I mean, I draw all the time, but just to be able to see our young people come out here every Saturday, from the moment changing the colors, I think we wanted to make you guys and girls proud. This neighborhood and community has so much history. We read maybe about a 2-page form on how much it meant to this community, and even just meeting you, sir, and talking about how much it meant for you. Starting being a part of the intramural program, it just meant so much, and it's personal for me. And I'm grateful and I'm humble for the opportunity. I love art, but I think this is a moment. This is my very first outside mural, so I'm hoping I make everyone proud because it means so much to me. So thank you for your time. I look forward to doing the next one, and thank you.
Really quickly, I just want to read the student volunteer's name. They're unable to be here today because they're in school. Andrea Maddox, she's from Heritage High School. Soleil Price, Heritage High School. Carol Huntley, Heritage High School. DeAndre Maddox, General Ray Davis Middle School. And Akila Maddox, Barksdale Elementary.
Oh, wow.
And now Director Sanders will come up to read the history of JP Carr.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We wanted to do this here today in honor of Black History Month especially, and also the rich history of this neighborhood and this gym and how it contributes. So I'm going to just read you the history of the JP Carr Center that's here today. Is built on the former site of the JP Carr School, the school for African American students in Rockdale County during segregation. This complex is named after brick mason John Philip Carr, who was a prominent leader in the Black community, who donated the land in 1950 to replace Bryant Street High School after it was destroyed by fire. Rockdale made history by being the first county in Georgia to pass a $50,000 bond issue to rebuild the school. The new school had modern classrooms, restrooms, a cafeteria, an auditorium, a library, and central heat. Bryant Street School was renamed JP Carr School in 1958. In the 50s and 60s, this community was comprised of dedicated teachers, students, and parents. Hundreds of Rockdale citizens were educated at JP Carr. The mascot was the eagle. The school's colors were gray and burgundy. The basketball team was unstoppable, and the marching band brought home trophy after trophy. Enrollment steadily increased and expansion continued, with an additional wing opening for the 1957-58 school year. That construction included a home economics classroom, a carpentry shop, and a science room and lab. In 1961, the gymnasium was built. The class of 1969 was the last to graduate from JP Carr. Many Rockdale residents are alumni of this neighborhood school. Councilman Cleveland Stroud walked the grounds and played basketball. Reverend Al Sadler, Gregory Levitt Sr., and there are many more who are the history of this neighborhood. Pulitzer Prize winner E.R. Shipp, also, she sends her best wishes today. She was intrigued by this event. She attended JP Carr until 1968 when she transferred to Rockdale County High School and graduated in 1972. And we're so glad you all came out today to be a part of this. And I'd like to invite the chairman and two commissioners to come up if you'd like to say a few words, and then we'll unveil it.
All right. Commissioner Washington, Commissioner Williams, then I'll come behind you all. Please.
Well, you know that the arts have been part of my initiative since I took office. I think it's such an important piece of the community, and especially to get our youth involved. But this is really remarkable because of the rich history of the school and of the grounds, and I personally am really excited to see the mural.
Good afternoon. I remember when I first moved to Rockdale County, there was a conversation about what to do with the JP Carr Gymnasium, and the passion about wanting to preserve the history that was that flowed through JP Carr was so present in the community that the revitalization and the everything that they've done to keep this gym here is a testament to that commitment to the history, and to combine the history of JP Carr with current students, current members of this community, to do something that memorializes that is almost coming to full circle. So I'm very proud to be here, and I'm so proud that we were able to include our students in this endeavor. And thank you so much for gracing us with your artistic abilities here in Rockdale County.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
It is certainly a pleasure and an honor to be a part of this very historical moment. The rich history and the heritage of Rockdale County and the city of Conyers, but to mention JP Carr. I've spent now 18 years as a resident in this community. The first time I met Coach Stroud and Coach Bell was during the summer of 2000 right here at the JP Carr gym. And just spending 5 or 10 minutes talking to them, I really didn't know who they were. They really didn't know who I was. I had a connection with Coach Bell being from the same hometown. That sparked the conversation. But I learned that these were two iconic coaches in our community, but they were also part of the fabric and the history and the heritage of JP Carr. So I began to build upon my knowledge of learning about this intimate community. Then came the introduction of Reverend Al Sadler. Anybody been around here for a long time, or at least 5 years, you've had an opportunity to meet Reverend Sadler, who is somewhat of a local historian within his own right. Understanding the community in which you live, understanding the history and the heritage that builds a community. We can't know where we're going unless we understand where we came from. So today is a very momentous day, a momentous occasion. It's a historical day, not just for Black Rockdale or Black Conyers or Black history, but this is a day for Rockdale County, a day for the city of Conyers, as we embrace each other, the different talents, the different cultures, the different creeds that make this community the best community, the best county in the state of Georgia. And like I always say, there's only two kind of people. Those who live in Rockdale County and those who wish they lived in Rockdale County.
All right, ready, guys?
So I want to first thank Director Sanders, Deputy Director Redmond, and the entire staff of our Parks and Recreation as you continue to take pictures. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Mayor Vince Evans. Mayor Evans, I want to ask that you would come up and just greet the crowd and say a few words. You know the history here just as well as anybody else. I want to certainly give you this opportunity to speak to our crowd. Give a round of applause. Mayor of the City of Conyers, Mayor Vince Evans. Mayor.
Thank you for the 3-second heads up here. Join the club. It is an honor to be here today and be a part of this ceremony. You know, you want to keep people in your heart, but as time goes by, sometimes you have to do things like this to keep the memories alive and keep the history alive. I know Coach finally referred to Mr. Carr as Mr. Phil is how we referred to him. So a very personal relationship there. But no, I'm just happy to be here and very honored to be a part of this ceremony. Thank you.
If I would, Director Sanders and Deputy Director Redmond, I'd like to ask Coach Stroud, Councilman Stroud, to come up and then I'm going to ask one other person. I know I might be off script here a second, but where's Reverend Sattler? You're going to have to put that camera down, Reverend Sattler. I'm going to need you. I'm going to ask that Coach Stroud and Reverend Sattler come up and just say a quick word or two as to what this really means to them to be able to see this in their lifetime. Councilman Coach Stroud, give Coach Stroud a round of applause.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning. Good morning. Well, I guess it's afternoon now. This means a lot to me because I spent 37 summers over here working between school years. And Coach Bell and I hopefully touched a lot of kids right here. And they come back and tell us quite often what it meant to them, the summer program that we had over here meant to them over all those years. Historically, for those who don't know, the house that Mr. Phil, and that's what we already referred to him as, lived right behind, and the house is still there, right behind that little orange-yellow building there. You'll see a big white house on this side of the street. And I know it's blocked off right now because of the utility house that Mr. Knopf has. But that is where Mr. Phil lived. He owned this land right here, and he gave it, didn't sell it, he gave it to the Board of Education to enhance black education. Now, I'm one of the few guys, probably Mr. Prentiff over there, one of the few people who personally knew Mr. Phil. He was a deacon at my church that I still belong to. He laid a lot of the rocks and things that you see. He was a rock mason as well as a brick mason. And he laid a lot of when you see a rock wall or a rock building, the chance Mr. Phil had a hand in it somewhere because he's one of the few accomplished rock masons in the state of Georgia. Okay. I wish Coach Bell was here to help with this day because it meant a lot to him too. He coached over here for many, many years, summer and winter. And I started here in 1970 in the summertime. So we were good rivals on the basketball court, great friends also. Just like fighting your brother. Okay? And when you look out here, it looks a lot different than it did when this land was first given. It used to be a house here, a house on the other side of the gym. It was just altogether different. That was pretty much just one building over there, old flake brick. Well, we come a long ways in Rockdale County, and it's because of you. Not because of us, it's because of you. And memorializing and immortalizing this building means that our history is still rooted here in Progressive Club, for which Reverend Sattler is president, and I honored to be vice president of, and Gloria is a member of. We have a cage over there. We were collecting memorabilia and paraphernalia to put into this trophy case so that the history of this school and Mr. JP Carr will be in our minds and hearts and accessible to all forever. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity. As I was listening to Sue give the history of JP Carr and some of Bryant Street, and she mentioned about the $50,000 bond program that was used to purchase to build that school. But I wanted to say something that's not in that history that I want you to think about just for a moment. That building was sitting probably about along where that juvenile justice building is, maybe. It was a 16 classroom building. We'll say that again. A 16 classroom building for 12 grades. I'm gonna say that again. 12 grades in 16 classrooms. Therefore, that meant there were some classes or some grades where there were only one class. I think I was probably in the 6th grade or something when we finally went into this gym. And I didn't have the privilege of playing on the basketball team here at JP Carr because I went out every year and Coach Bell cut me. So the only time I got a chance to play was in intramural games. But as Coach Trial was standing here talking, my mind reflected back to about 50 years ago. It would be 50 years ago, April the 5th. Now, what's significant about April the 5th, 50 years ago? That was the day after Dr. King had been killed. There was an assembly called, and we all, from 1st through 12th grade, assembled in this building after the death of Dr. King. At the time, Gregory B. Levitt Sr. was the president of the student council, and he had a little podium somewhat like this. We were seniors in high school, and he made a speech, and at that time, he definitely was not much of a public speaker, so he was very nervous. But this building also was not just used for to play basketball in. And I've said this a few weeks ago at the library, that the heating system that Sue talked about, the central heat, it didn't work. It was steam heat. And most of the time when the winter came, it was too cold to have classes in that building there. So we either had to go to the gym, or we went to the new building that we went in 1957 over where the community center is. And so therefore, if we had to go in the library, the cafeteria, or over here in the gym, we did not have class. And so we were limited to what we could do. And so one of the coaches eventually discovered that we would have the intramural games, so that would kind of keep us occupied. Another thing that we did in this gym was we had a talent show. We called it a shindig. It would happen every April right in this gym. It was a stage band, probably consisted of about 15 people that I had the pleasure of playing in probably my last 3 or 4 years in high school. So just to kind of sum it up, this building means a lot to those of us who have been around a lifetime and who had the opportunity to go into this gym. Because when you go in there now, you see seats, benches or something that's in there for you to sit down in. When we first built this gym, we had to sit on the concrete. There was no benches for us to sit down in. And a lot of improvements. There was definitely no air conditioning in here. So today is a proud moment for those of us who have been around for a number of years. And I want to just thank the artist for this rendition that he's placed up on this wall. So every time we ride by here, we have a lot of memories about this place. This is, and I say this all the time, this is our Taj Mahal, because this is where we grew up and we learned and we went on to become other people in the community. So I'm proud today to be a part of this unveiling of this mural, and I just want to say that we've come a long way in this community. And one of the things I can always say, and I know I can got time to preach, but one of the things that I want to say about Rockdale County, for those of you that haven't been here that long, we've always been a community that learned how to work together. When integration happened, we didn't march in the streets because there were a lot of pre-planning that went along with integrating the schools on a voluntary basis. My symbol that I used to like to say, this community was like the Parker Road Bridge. The Parker Road Bridge connects the north and the south, but I changed that. I got a new symbol. That symbol is a piano, and I want you to think about it. A piano has black keys and white keys on it. I had my cousin to demonstrate this for me a few months ago. I said, I want you to play Amazing Grace with just white keys. He did that. I said, I want you to play Amazing Grace with just black keys, and he did that. It sounded okay when you had the white keys or the black keys, but when you put the black and white keys together, it was an awesome sound. May God bless you. Thank you. So, very quickly, I want to bring Mr. Reed back up. Give our artist, our lead artist on this project, Mr. Reed, come on up. Give him a round of applause. I wanted to highlight Mr. Reed once again because I heard this young man say that this is his first outdoor mural, that he has led the leadership on this project. And I just wanted people, now that we've unveiled this beautiful mural on the wall there, I wanted people to be able to connect you with the leadership. Although the young people, I think it was just wonderful that you had the collaboration of the young people from our local area high schools and elementary schools involved with this project, but through your leadership and your vision and your talent. And I believe, looking at this, I must say your gift that you have is certainly gifted, and we certainly want to make an association now that we've unveiled it with you and the work that you've done, and we hope that this is not the last time we'll see him and have him here in Rockdale County in the days ahead. Give him another round of applause if you will.